Hello and welcome to a brand new series, the Classical Analysis. Now, we've enjoyed doing the regular race analysis through the seasons for a couple of years now. I thought it'd be quite a fun idea to look with a contemporary take at some of our favourite races from the past. And each time, I'm going to have a special guest. And today, Damon Hill is joining me. And Damon, quite a nice race for you, Belgium 98.
Quite a lot to analyse in this, I think, Jolyon. So looking forward to this. Well, it's a brilliant idea to go back over these things and scrutinise every little nook and cranny.
Obviously one that you were in and that you enjoyed. The races that you've done, have you looked back through them many times?
Well, it's an interesting. They tend to come to you because they're on YouTube or someone sort of says, have you seen this? Or they run an old race. I haven't sat down and watched all my races. I don't know. Maybe the ones
that you won, maybe.
Yeah, actually the thought of going through all the emotional stress of the race again is perhaps not so appealing as watching the car cross the line.
We're going to do it now, though.
Oh, well, let's do it.
Tough one, this one. Rainy day, typical Spa, 98, and we've got two championship rivals. So Mika Häkkinen leads the championship by 7 points from Michael Schumacher. So there's a lot at play here. McLaren, you can see, locked out the front row. Häkkinen ahead of Coulthard. Good job from you, Damon.
Yeah, the car was fantastic. It was the first race back from this August break, and I think I had a spring in my step, but the car felt fantastic at Spa and qualified third.
I'm very happy. A lot of it, of course, is due to the exceptionally hard work that everyone's put in at Jordan, and I'm very, very happy for everyone in the team. I have to say, I think I'm driving beautifully at the moment, and I'm really enjoying myself.
So you're right in the mix, ahead of the two Ferraris. The infamous race start. So let's play this one through. The very famous crash. Lights come on.
Usual tension. Not such a good start from me.
What's happened?
Bit of wheel spin. Yeah, I think that's...
all that hard work.
I'd rather forget the first start. But let's see what happens in a second.
So, first start, you've had a shocker. Side by side with Fisichella there. Häkkinen leading. Now we've got Irvine on the inside, Coulthard middle, Villeneuve's had a good start from the outside, and this is where it's going to get a bit close then. Talk us through this bit coming through.
Yeah, the usual kind of pinch point going through the first corner, but if you look closely, you'll see what happens. Irvine gets this great start, and then he's alongside DC. Now, as they go round the hairpin, I think they kind of get close, and DC gets run quite wide on the exit, which means he has to rejoin the track.
Yeah, so when we play it through...
So there he is, right over there on the right. Irvine's on the main...
so that's Coulthard. Irvine is somewhere in the melee. Is that actually just him right out there?
Yeah.
Is that Irvine there?
It could be Irvine, doesn't it?
So they've both gone in pretty hot. And now what it looks like is, compared to everyone else that's on this trajectory coming through here, they're coming in from...
across the track.
Across.
And also, the point to make is there's a drain. You can just see that Mika Häkkinen's left front wheel is on this kind of dark line that goes along the edge of the track, which is actually a drain. So it's made of metal and it's a little bit bumpy and a little bit slippery.
That little bit there.
That's it. And that's the key bit, because when DC hits that and he's flat out to get back on the track, and you can't see because he disappears in the snow. In a second, you'll see him slew. So he basically lost traction. I saw him from behind hitting the bump and then turning right towards the wall. And now I'm thinking he's going over there. Any minute now, he's going to hit that wall and come back into the track. So I have to decide whether to go right and aim where he hit, or aim left and hope he doesn't bounce into me.
And we play it through. Oh, it's a bit tight, isn't it?
And sure enough, he came straight across you. So that was terribly close.
But you're one of the lucky ones here, because you could see it.
I could see what was going to happen, but I couldn't exactly predict whether he was going to slide down the wall or bounce back in front of me. But I had enough of a warning to be able to avoid hitting him. And I think more luck than judgment, actually. But at this point, I'm thinking, this is great. I'm now up to whatever it was, third.
Back where you started. So all of these cars then are basically couldn't see anything. So you were at least close enough to DC to see the crash and try and avoid it.
Yeah.
Whereas they have just now... is carnage, isn't it?
The track is blocked, and all these cars are coming down from La Source hairpin, accelerating down the hill, and most of them I've only realised too late that there's no way through this lot. And you can see this wheel coming up on the right. And the guy leaning over the fence there, he's
Blimey, look at this. With further into the race, it's going to be a big moment here.
This is before they had tethers.
Yeah.
So since then, of course, we've put these very high tensile Kevlar tethers that are attached to the car, so the wheels can't go into the crowd.
Amazing, isn't it, the amount of debris here? So look at Ralph, your teammate, started 8th. He's right in the thick of it, but somehow, and it'll be important later on in the race when he's still going, but he gets away with this on the grass. Wheels everywhere.
Yeah.
Does he get
chased by
that
a wheel
one?
And a wing?
Yeah.
It's got a wheel in front of him. Look, he's actually pushing that one along.
Hit that one. Another one flying across him, and he's basically just parks up. I think just short of.
Look at these
Coulthard and Sarlo and Irvine
squashing Sarlo into Coulthard by the looks of things.
Horrible crash.
Great start by Eddie Irvine. Fielder, look at Fielder, and into the wall. Who was that?
Coulthard in the wall.
David Coulthard into the wall. Will stop the race.
They'll have to red flag this.
Terrible. Look, this is quite appalling. This is the worst start for a Grand Prix that I have ever seen in the whole of my life.
Red flag, obviously. Quite a good shot is looking back from Mika Häkkinen. So your start is not a great one, and it allows these 3 to come through. And this is what you're talking about then. Irvine running Coulthard really, really wide.
Yeah.
And that then means they've got that tighter angle over the drain cover, and then is going to cause the chaos. And then if we get another angle, this is the chaos behind, on board with Jos Verstappen.
Oh.
You just don't see it coming, do you?
And the camera, the camera maybe is not as good as the human eye in that situation, but you really couldn't see much. The spray was, Spa is famous for that, but trying to see when you've got 20 other cars or 15 other cars in front of you kicking up spray, you don't see what's happening. You can't see that far ahead, so they're all piled into each other.
So, red flag. We get a restart. What is interesting is, despite all the carnage and half the grid being out, most of them rejoin because they're second cars. So I found it interesting watching this back. You got Barrichello's bleeding from somewhere. He's actually bleeding through his overalls, it looked like. And Sid Watkins is going up to him and he's like, I'm still good to race. Irvine limps away from that one as well. He literally gets out the car, hobbling back. He's restarting this one right now in the second Ferrari. It's something that you'd never dream of now. And they're back in. Gosh. So there's only actually 4 out-and-out retirements of basically drivers that had 2 cars involved in the collision. So the likes of Irvine's back in the spare Ferrari. Coulthard's back in the spare McLaren. Quite an interesting decision as well, because their teammates were both going for the title. So that takes the spare car. But all in all...
What you also should mention is that, of course, it took a massive amount of time to clear up the mess. So we went round to the grid and the guys were saying, do you want to get out of the car? And I thought, no, I'm not. I'm focused. I don't want to get out of the car. But I sat there for an hour. And so now I'm dying for a pee. Yeah. So I'm sitting there, it's been raining, it's cold.
How did you hold it?
I'm sitting there, I didn't.
Because the race wasn't short afterwards either.
No, exactly so. And I think not getting out of the car was crucial to keeping my focus, because there was a lot of action going on and we didn't know it was going to last an hour, but it went on for an hour while we sat there. And it was getting dark and cold and...
must have been bleak. But maybe it paid off. The restart, lights go out.
And that was a peach of a start.
There you go.
Yeah, beautiful job.
Suddenly into the leader. So what was the difference? You learnt from the first one?
I think I needed to go, didn't I? Yeah. I think it was, obviously a little bit of experience from the first start. I just got it right. I mean, lovely takeaway there, and a bit of an overtake as well going into the first corner.
Damon Hill has made an excellent start and leads.
Now, behind you, championship rivals. Häkkinen, Schumacher, together.
Yeah.
Championship rivals together is always interesting, isn't it? And this one, it's super close. Big squeeze from Michael. I don't know if they touch it, maybe just slightly.
It looks like they're rubbing, doesn't it?
The side pod, of the McLaren with the right rear of the Ferrari. But then they're okay, it seems, at this point. And then Häkkinen has a spin. It seems like it's just on the gas in the end, trying to get on the power out of this one.
Well, there's that drain thing again. So that black line you can see, he's actually accelerating here, but putting on a lot of lock to try and get, and then he hits his left rear gets on that drain, and it can just sometimes let it go, let the rear wheels spin up, and that's enough. And he can't go left, he can't put opposite lock on because of where Michael's there.
And interesting actually, because look at the drain cover that's basically there. You can see everyone's either gone over it, including you.
There's a choice, isn't there? These guys, can you highlight the 3 cars on the right-hand side of the drain?
Yeah, exactly.
They're lining up to go along the track, down, and not... Once you can't go along it, so you can't straddle it, so you have to either go right of it or left of it and then come across.
Yeah, so that's Irvine, Coulthard and one of the Williams, maybe Jacques Villeneuve, and they just purposefully stay off that. So maybe that, in the end, with Schumacher just on the outside, is what's caused Häkkinen to have a spin. And then we get, next man across it, Johnny Herbert. But for Johnny, this is a bit tough, isn't it? Because he's got a spinning McLaren right in front. And then he doesn't really know which way to go over the drain cover as well. But...
And Clonk.
Out. Yeah. And championship leader out of the race.
Yeah.
That could be huge. It's all good for you, though. You're in the lead.
Lovely, yeah. And... just it's nice when you get in a wet race, of course, you're the first to arrive at the puddles, but the plus side is you can see where you're going, and the guys behind have very poor visibility.
It's ticking along very nicely until lap 7.
The inevitable.
Here we go. Under pressure through Blanchimont. You think about a bit of a defence, but...
Gave him a little bit of pressure, but made himself a little wide, but there's not really much you can do, and he is the rainmaster at Spa.
He was flying in that race as well. He was really, really quick. Tough one, that one.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? There wasn't really much I could do, to be honest. He was catching me at such a lick, and so sit back and hope for something to happen, which eventually it did.
He's storming down the pit lane, and look at him! He's going to have it out with David Coulthard.
Coulthard's had another incident earlier on in the race. He's had a tangle with Alex Wurz, and Wurz is out in the Benetton, and Coulthard's had to pit. So he's now coming a lap down, and he's not that quick in the McLaren as well. He's struggling a bit, and he's in the spare one as well. Maybe that made a difference. And Schumacher's absolutely flying. He's got a 30 to 40 second lead on you, maybe?
Yeah.
He is absolutely going for it. His outlap is 3 seconds faster in the first section than any of his competitors. Absolutely incredible.
He's way off into the distance, but like you said, he's actually on the limit and pushing still very hard.
This is the one.
Oh, God! Michael Schumacher hits David Coulthard and is out of the Belgian Grand Prix, and Damon Hill is in the lead.
I don't know whether DC's got the blue flag here or they came on the radio saying Michael's nearby, but anyway, the problem is what he's doing is he's not going at full racing speed. I don't know why he wasn't going at full racing speed, but you can see the closing speed between himself and Michael was huge, enough for Michael to actually lose his wheel. It's not like they were going at the same pace.
No, but he's a lap down. So what's just happened before this is Jean Todt, I think, has gone up to Ron Dennis on the McLaren pit wall, and they're obviously a bit nervy about lapping a McLaren with Häkkinen out the race. So it looks to me like he's just trying to... He's backing off to let the leader through, like you do with a blue flag.
It's not the ideal way to have done it.
I think they probably just radioed to David to say, let him through, he's behind you, let him through. Look, David's pulled over to one side, lifted off, and Michael clearly couldn't see.
When you look in your mirrors, you don't know who's there, so you don't want to move across the track. So in his defence, I would say that DC's trying to let Michael pass, but just happens to be on the racing line.
He's as much to the right as possible, almost on that white line. But like you say, he wouldn't have known exactly how close Michael was. And the problem, when we get this angle, you can see the real problem. What would you have done if you were trying to let a leader through in this one?
I think I would have tried to... I wouldn't have been going slowly. I mean, I don't want to be too critical of DC, but, if you're going to get out the way, you've got to get off the racing line.
So if you go slowly, you go down that side and open it right up.
But then, as I said before, you look in your mirrors, you can't see anything. So you can't see if there's a car there. So if you really don't want to move offline and into the path of a car that's going to pass you. So very difficult choices to make in that race.
So when it's so hard, we're used now to team radios being crystal clear, conditions that are so bad, you've at least got the team, they've got data to do it. Wasn't the case here.
They have at their disposal the satellite GPS real-time positioning and track map, so you can see exactly where the guys are. And in those days, they didn't have that.
So you're just going off the TV pictures on the pit wall, basically?
Yeah, I mean, you go off the lap timer and, you know, someone's closing your car, you can say you've got Michael behind you, but the radios weren't that good either in those days. You know, it's a big old track in Spa, and sometimes the radio communication on the other side of the circuit wasn't as clear. And
it's teaming down, I guess, and you've got really noisy engines, which always makes it a little bit harder as well.
It's not always clear.
So this is the contact there, and I mean, we could barely see Coulthard's car, let alone Schumacher's at this point, and then in he goes, and off he goes. You must have had to lap a few drivers in this one.
Yes, you follow the spray, and you just hope that you know roughly where the density is most. That's roughly where the car is, but you're looking out on the side really to see where you are in relation to the edge of the track. And the other thing is you only get a vague idea as to where the middle of the spray is, but you have no idea how fast that car is going. It could be going half your speed.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of hope involved.
This is 2 laps earlier, before the Coulthard one. Now we know that the famous images of Michael running up or storming up the pit lane, going to remonstrate with him. He could have been doing it with Pedro Diniz, because this is a couple of laps earlier, and he's going for the inside into Rivage, the downhill right-hander, and I don't think Diniz has a clue that the leader's coming through to lap him. No. So possibly no radio communication again, has no idea, can barely see blue flags.
The only thing you can say on this one is that at least Michael knows there's a car there, because he's gone down the inside of him, so he can see he's there, and looks like Pedro spotted him at the crucial moment. And it's not as fast, so only a couple of corners later is where the accident happened with DC, and they were travelling, well, Michael would have been travelling a whole lot faster, and DC kicking up a lot of spray.
So it's the fact that Schumacher at least could see to avoid that one. 2 laps later, it's so wet, and we get a big one again. This is Fisichella from 5th place in the Benetton, trying to lap Nakano in the Minardi. And it's pretty much the same thing, apart from Nakano's actually on the brakes here into the bus stop, isn't it?
And it looks very much like Fisichella has just not realised it's time to stop.
Yeah.
It's like he's in the spray.
Maybe actually, yeah, exactly.
Because I don't think Nakano's doing anything wrong there. I mean, he's obviously hit the brakes because he can see the chicane, and he can see where he's supposed to brake in order to turn, and he's braked, and of course Fizzy's not aware that they've got there to the braking zone yet. And,
so it's a different crash actually. Fisichella's coming in not knowing where the corner really is, and he is coming around to lap Nakano, but Nakano's actually just trying to take the corner and wham into the back.
Oh, Fisichella!
That's a big accident from Fisichella. I think that's coming out of the bus stop. He's obviously lost it and hit the end of the barrier. That's a very nasty accident. That'll bring out the safety car.
You do have to wonder whether the race will go its full distance.
Nothing he can do, no way. That's a horrible accident.
But by this time, of course, I was back in the lead of the race because Michael's out.
Yep.
So now I've got a safety car situation, but I'm leading.
And just with that as well, we've got other incidents. Eddie Irvine has got it wrong earlier on. This is him. He was chasing you down at this stage earlier on in 3rd when you were 2nd, and he gets it a little bit wrong at the top of Les Comtes.
Not a good day for Ferrari.
Tough one.
So he's gone straight on at the comb at the top, and it's dislodged the front wing. But did he get back out again?
Yeah, so he gets back out. So that's bad news for him, obviously, from 3rd place. Loses front wing, back into the pit, gets back out, and then later on has this one. Now this is Pouhon, bit of a faster corner. And
just, he did the thing you can't do in the wet. He's just put a loaded wheel on the painted curb, and it's clearly can't take the grip. Yeah, hunting down Fisichella in the Benetton. This is back in towards the points, and round he goes. So that's Irvine out. Frentzen
after the safety car, in fact, almost did the same thing. Now, this is when there's actually only 6 drivers left in the race at this stage. And Frentzen almost makes it 5 by doing the same thing. Just catches it's almost a white line there for him, and he's broadside coming through Pouhon.
Nice catch.
It's a really good catch.
It just shows you there's so much more grip on the outside of the circuit as well, doesn't it? Because it's off the racing line, and then, but later on,
he did go off, Frentzen, but he still managed to somehow get traction coming out of there. But the other Williams, Jacques Villeneuve, was out of the race earlier on.
That's a classic. He's on full throttle and he's just aquaplaned, hit the water, and it's just got a tank slapper on.
So it's a race of drama. And remember, the likes of Irvine, who's had a couple of dramas plus the start crash. Coulthard has had a couple of dramas plus the start crash. They're already in the spare cars. It's chaotic. And so when the safety car's out, there's basically 6 runners. McLaren try and get Coulthard's car repaired and do, but he's a few laps down. And you're leading now with your teammate just behind.
And so you're basically saying that Ferrari and McLaren have used up all their cars.
3 cars gone.
So they've run out of cars. But me and Ralph and Jordan now are in the position of potentially winning their first ever Grand Prix.
And the Belgian Grand Prix is effectively restarting for a second time, with only 4 seconds or so covering the top 6, indeed the only 6.
One thing's for sure, whatever happens from now on in this motor race is going to be talked about in Formula One circles and with Formula One fans for many years to come.
Pressure moments. So it's wet to the point of aquaplaning, safety car.
And this is well into the race by about an hour as well. So that's now, since the first start, we're now talking almost 3 hours into the whole thing, the whole procedure.
You must be bursting.
I'd forgotten about it by then.
And then you're under pressure. Ralph, you've been quite a long way ahead of him through the race. He's had some pace in various parts, but you had a great start and we're long gone. But the safety car, of course, bunches it all up. Young teammate.
Yeah.
Quite punchy.
Brother of.
Rival. Yeah.
Cool. Very keen to win.
Yeah.
So, are you going to get to the point about the radio broadcast?
That's where I'm heading.
That's where we're leading. Okay.
Ralph Schumacher in the yellow, Jordan there, having a nibble at Damon for no good reason, really, because they're still very much under the yellows of the safety cars, you can clearly see.
Well, you can imagine that Eddie Jordan will have been saying, hold positions, and specifically, Ralph, stay where you are.
I'd qualified it well, 3rd place. I'd led the race, and I only had Ralph breathing down my neck because of the safety car. So I thought, nasty. The worst case scenario is if he decides to wheel bang with me and in the wet, and we both go off. That would be a waste and a wasted opportunity for the team.
The safety car is off. The race is on. Damon comes out of the bus stop, gives it all the throttle he can afford to. Now, what's Ralph Schumacher going to do? Down from La Source to Eau Rouge, a gigantic ball of spray, and Schumacher is certainly not deferring as they go out of La Source, and Damon runs wide. Schumacher tucks in behind him.
So I waited for the instructions from Eddie Jordan to say, guys, I want you to hold station because it's really be nice if we got a 1-2 here. But nothing happened. So I came on the radio and said, hello, Eddie, here's a thought,
Yeah.
Maybe just tell Ralph, I've got this under control and don't be too feisty.
Who could blame you? Who could blame you for that?
I'd been in teams where I was told to come second enough times, so I thought maybe it's my turn.
And it worked. 1-2. How was Ralph afterwards?
Not happy.
Was he?
But in my defence, I will say, when the safety car pulled in, and don't forget, John Lacey had actually caught up with Ralph as well. So we couldn't hang around. We had to get a move on. So I thought, I don't entirely trust Ralph not to race me. So I just went off like a scolded cat. And I think the evidence was that it would have been the same result.
Yeah.
Get ready in Britain and Ireland, all round the world, to stand up and cheer as Damon Hill comes home within sight of victory at the Belgian Grand Prix. His 22nd victory into the bus stop. He is yards away from the finish, followed by his teammate Ralph Schumacher. And Damon Hill wins in Belgium.
unforgettable race.
It was a great day for Jordan. 1-2 is a fantastic result. We were strong all weekend, and it was a very exciting race. I'm absolutely delighted. I'm really quite lost for words, actually.
Congratulations, Damon Hill, winner of the Belgian Grand Prix of 1998. Yes!
So there we have it then. A race win for Jordan, the first one, and a 1-2 as well for good measure. Plenty of other things in there as well. I mean, so much stuff, including championship permutations. I mean, Schumacher could have had the championship lead here with 3 races to go had it not been for that Coulthard crash. I've really enjoyed that, Damon. Yes. Thanks very much for that.
Brilliant way to look at a race, isn't it? Reanalysing everything. Thank you for that.
Indeed. And there's plenty more on F1 TV coming up. 8 more episodes, so catch it then.